like I feel so like, and maybe because I read it quite a bit, like, you know, but I guess I always wanted to feel like special, like that I meant something, because when you go through the things that I'm describing, like it makes you feel exactly the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Like that you don't matter at all.
Have you ever...
You know, and in some aspects, it's like I didn't matter, because it's like you guys just went on without me. It, like, and maybe I'm being too harsh to that reality, but I'm saying like my presence didn't seem to mean anything, and it's not like I don't want you to go on, but it's like, I mean, even when it was my last day, it was like, it was so like thoughtless and careless, like how, you know, I've been working there for 4 years, and you know, that place went through a lot of changes. Like, it looks very different from the way it was, and like I was a part of like trying to bring that to this vision that they all had, and I went through the turnaround thing and did what they asked, and by doing what they asked, I was the one that lost, because I did what they asked me to do, and they left me out in the cold. And then I don't even get like seemingly any appreciation for it, the sacrifices I did make, and like the pain that I went through. And
that happens a lot, I think, with jobs and stuff like that. But as far as Patriarchal Blessing is concerned, do you ever let anybody else read it? You read it with your wife? You
oh
guys
yeah,
exchange?
Brittany's read it before. Look, do you remember the human ball?
Oh yeah,
Remember that big pile of corpses?
That's gross.
Wow, what is this enormous pile of corpses? So it's just trying to make a ball out of it. I wouldn't be too fond of fighting such a horror more, but I suck at aerial combat. Hey, it looks like it's still breathing. We're not still. Oh,
You can't sell
well,
it.
I got a turkey out of it.
I hope you...
Food infected by malaise.
Yay.
Perfect. I don't know what that's supposed to do.
But you're gross anyway. Malaise is like what you're feeling. Or you're like extreme malaise at the moment.
Well, there you go. I should look that up and come to a greater understanding of it.
Of malaise?
Yeah.
That's hard. Like, it seems like the word itself would describes it to me.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, like, I don't know if there's a better definition than just using the word malaise, which is similar to like melancholy,
Okay, yeah.
in a sense, but this is more like melancholy and fatigue mixed together, I would say. Another word I might use is doldrums, which is more like a specific nautical term.
That's a good word too.
So, I'd say malaise and doldrum would be really similar. There's your word lesson for the day.
Yes. I love word lessons.
Yeah, I mean, so, yeah, my Patriarchal Blessings has been a bit similar. Like, I did not prepare for it at all.
Yeah.
My dad's just like, we're gonna go get you one. I'm like, okay.
Alrighty, Daddy.
And I think I was like,
Yes, Daddy.
I think like a year or so before my mission, and you know, it's not really, I don't know. I've always been spiritual, but I didn't fast or anything, and you know, I got it. And then you're just like, okay, that wasn't as amazing as you thought going through the process, and because I probably wasn't in a mindset and frame, you know.
Right.
Which hopefully didn't hinder Patriarch. But they tell you to take it on a mission, right? And read it frequently. I thought I'd lost it, you know. But I found it before I went. It was really probably one of those small prayer miracles. And
That's good.
I think I read it throughout, and I don't think I ever thought it was anything grand either.
Yeah.
And
I guess I wish I felt special, and I just don't.
it took me years of reading it and highlighting it and writing down word definitions to really get a concept of it. And eventually, over these years, there are several aspects of it that are rather, you know, I'm excited. And some, and it's small, right? Like you like the last one, because I keep on reading it. not as often as I'd like, and not as often as Crystal does for hers, but we do share so we can see the other insights, you know, see if anything stands out. Because, you know,
Right.
sometimes you just gloss over it and you think, like, I have a really fixed mindset about, like,
Yeah.
the marriage and family portion, because they're not necessarily chronological, but it kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, oh man, I have screwed that part up. Which doesn't necessarily mean the other stuff doesn't happen, or doesn't necessarily mean that I'm viewing it in the correct way.
Right. Or that it might not even, if you're talking about marriage, maybe that's not even like a singular event.
Yeah,
And the promises in it
yeah, because
could be applied more than just
yeah, it's not
once.
gonna map out like you're one, you are born.
right.
You know, you will poop your pants on the second day of kindergarten. You know,
Did that happen to you, Cam? Did you poop your pants on the second day?
I don't remember the last time I pooped my pants.
I do. I do it frequently. Because that's another issue of having the disease I have. Hooray for Jim Garner! So
Well,
terrible.
Everybody's heard of my gastrointestinal fortitude on this channel.
Literally.
Literally. It can be quite explosive, but not
That's why-
pants poopingly easy.
That's why we love you. Because you shared that with us.
That was unintentional. That's mortifying, actually.
So good. I love it so much.
So,
That's the best.
so yeah, you know, and I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I prayerfully consider my patriarchal blessing, but it took a lot of time. And you know, the last one I probably did in the last I don't know, maybe 10 years or less, probably since at least the divorce, and that might be a little longer. But it was such simple words, and I don't necessarily know if I just kind of glossed them over near the end and whatnot. But you know, I'm not agonizing over them, but I am super curious to kind of see what that might mean.
Yeah.
In this like sentence, right? And the rest is, you know, very nice. You know, you know, one line has always been concerning.
Yeah.
It's about Satan and stuff, and I'm just like, well, that sucks.
My uncle has something very specific about Satan. He's already passed on from this world, but it's really too bad. Really too bad.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not super worried about it, but I mean, I was for quite some time. And it's a small line, so I mean, I don't know. I think it could be helpful, and then, you know, one of the better
Prayerfully doing it, I
Yeah.
think, is what stands out to me in my brain, because maybe I've never really prayerfully. Because you, I don't know. I always struggle with the idea that, like, I always feel like I have to have like all the answers, and like as a teacher, you kind of feel that way sometimes, and it's like, but it's like, I need to start just relying, like the whole thing of like, I need to trust that Heavenly Father is doing right by me, even though He's asked me to do really hard. And man, has He asked me to do hard stuff?
Yeah.
And like, I need to trust Him more, and
I mean,
like overcome it. And
yeah, look back at the beginning of your patriarchal blessing. What does it say about your time being here? You know, it means, and for the most part, you know, I think we can make a general assumption that in some ways it will say that this was a specific time for us. Yeah. Which means that the Lord trusted to wait for us to be sent down now, or we chose, or both. Right? And so we should be able to take confidence in that. One of the other things that I was just thinking of while you're talking about that is, well, two things. Is in a talk that Crystal had sent way earlier in the year, and there's this lady, and she was doing Proverbs, and I have it written on my on a sticky note that I did at work, and it's on the fridge at home, and I've kind of forgotten. It's very paraphrased, and I can forget the Proverbs, like 3:2, I don't know, but it says, you know, lean not on thine own understanding and trust in the Lord. You know, and then that
shall direct your path. So
Yeah,
talk about that one.
Yeah, and that correlates even more with was it President Nelson or somebody just recently in the past, probably like a year or so, of a conference talk, said that the Lord can make you a better person than you can, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, and that's really hard. It is really hard to just
Right.
kind of let go.
Right.
Ooh. Can I take this?
Sure.
I'm gonna ask him real quick. Hey, buddy. I'm streaming right now, but I thought I'd let you on if you wanted to be like an impromptu guest caller onto the stream.
Sure. What's the?
We were just talking about you, right?
What's the subject?
Well, we've been talking about
God.
God and patriarchal blessings, actually.
Oh, that's funny. I still have mine like memorized, and I repeat some of it sometimes.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I remember you talking about it. And for some reason, back in the past, I always thought you said that you'd be like dead by 40 or something.
Yeah. So.
But apparently not.
What's the question? Like, are they real? Are they accurate?
I was just suggesting, as I guess the larger discussion is trying to find happiness or allowing ourselves to be happy, even though we know pain is in the future. No matter what we do, usually there's something bad around the corner that's going to happen. So how do you be happy in the moment, or let go of that stuff?
You can be happy because you know that's for sure. So you're not ever surprised by it. You're like, oh, yeah. I knew this would come in. Like, I'll give you an example. The other day, I finished my movie that took me forever to film and complete, and it was done, and it was actually probably the best thing I've done. And then the power went out, little power glitch, erased everything. Everything. And I had saved it in 3 different places. All places were gone.
How is that possible?
Exactly. How is that possible? Like, even when I tried to pull it up on an external hard drive that wasn't plugged in, it could not find the file.
Ugh.
So I spent the last 2 days redoing it, but well, it's not done, but it's kind of back together. But I don't get mad. You just kind of resign yourself to that fate. Like, oh, well, am I that surprised? It's like the happiness comes with knowing that I think life is pain, but that's what makes it more joyful when we can enjoy those little things,
Yeah.
Especially when people talk about the gospel. I'm quite surprised, actually, that they think that there's a lot of joy and happiness in this world, because nowhere in the Gospels were any of those guys ever had much joy or peace. They were tortured, crucified, mocked in the name of God. I mean, we're
I don't know if this is helping or hurting.
But this isn't the world for that. I mean, that's the story of Jesus. He came from another place of peace and love and acceptance, and this world is going to reject that. Everyone, Joseph Smith, Gandhi, John Lennon, you're gonna get blown away. These are the lessons we're not embracing. We're supposed to push the love of God and the gospel of Christ, but it's a certainty we're gonna get blowback. Like, it's not gonna be accepted.
Yeah.
If Jesus, the Son of God, was crucified and not accepted, his miracles were not accepted, how are we going to be accepted?
So this is where we think about that Joseph Smith quote, right? He's like, I want to swim in deep waters, because he finally realized that is what the world is, and that's what will eventually lead to happiness.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that's the test of faith. The test of faith isn't, oh, I have the gospel, now I get to live peacefully. The test of faith is, are you, not that you have to die for the faith, but are you willing,
Yeah.
Are you going to renounce the gospel in the name of death and imprisonment and punishment? Most of us will never face that crisis of faith.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good thing, or maybe it's a bad thing because we're not swimming in deep waters,
Mm-hmm.
But that's a personal thing. I don't think you need to be a martyr or you need to get imprisoned or killed, but you do need to look at yourself and be like, how much do I believe this? How much can I give up my, personal life and habits to be more in tune with the spirit? I mean,
Yeah. And that is really hard because it's challenging to do so, and sometimes you just want to check out.
Well, I think the apathy of it actually makes it harder. I mean, I think decisions, whether they're tough or not, are easier to be made with the gun to the head. You can say yes or no more easily. You know,
Yeah.
if you've got a lot of time on your hands and no one's forcing you to do anything, then yeah, it's true. All the things are true. You know, idle hands are the devil's tool.
Mm-hmm.
Look how much trouble we're getting into with texting.
Yeah.
You know, and computers. Idle hands. We're not making anything. We're just typing on plastic.
Yeah.
You know, this is causing a derangement of the physical senses and spirituality. We don't know that though.
Yeah, there's something to be said about. I was talking about this with the kids in world history about manual labor and you know how freeing that is for your mind a lot of times, and where you can come up with a lot of good ideas and just let yourself go because you're focused on one simple kind of problem, etc.
Well, yeah, and you're grounding down into physical reality.
Yeah.
Your mind can't just loop off into whatever fanciful thoughts it wants. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt your podcast, but those are good thoughts because, you know, especially now, I mean, I meant to call because I don't know where this plays in, but a friend of mine was like, well, you know, instead of buying camera stuff, you should probably buy iodine tablets because nuclear war is about to happen. You know? And I was like, I mean, I guess there's threats or whatever, but I was like, I don't think so. That would be bad. And even if there is a nuclear war, do you want to survive that?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't think iodine tablets are going to help us, and yeah, I just from all my scripture reading, I just don't see nuclear war happening, unless that's what unless that's what's going to burn the earth and the.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I ever thought was maybe that was what it was because it was like the earth burning, but that could still be, that could mean, that doesn't even necessarily mean like burning in the way we think it burning. Like there's lots of ways the world burns, like it can burn through sin and it can burn, through lust and power and money, and there's lots of ways the world burns.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's all here. It's all around us. Like, there's nowhere to go. Like, the kingdom of heaven is here. Like, if you believe Jesus, like, those are his words, you know? The kingdom of heaven is within your midst. You just don't see it. You know, that's what he told the disciples. You know, the kingdom of heaven is within you. So what does that mean? You know, it doesn't mean you die and go to heaven. If he's saying it's literally right here within you, like, then what are we missing? You know?
Yeah.
So it's a tricky thing because I was thinking this on the way to yoga. It's like, you know, there is no past, present, or future. If everything that ever exists is always in the present moment, then where is the past, present, and future? Because to them, it's in the present, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Joseph Smith lived as Joseph Smith in the present.
Yeah.
To us, it's the past, but to him, it was the present. And then people before him, he was the future. But so to us, we're living in the present. So it's like, how far is the future or how far is the past? You know, it's a tricky thing. These are all tricky things, but God is eternal. So we're living in the eternal God, trying to figure things out while we're in a body.
Yeah, in an imperfect body on a planet that we're not necessarily from.
Anyway, well, interesting stuff, man. Well, I'll let you guys get back to your podcast, but thanks for letting me join in.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, it was good.
It's super fun.
From the master himself.
Yeah. So basically, how am I going to get out of my own mess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the real question.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you get out of your own mess?
Well, and that's the hard part because you put yourself in the
We
mess.
just like to dig ourselves deeper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if I knew how to not get in the mess, I wouldn't have done it to begin with.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, anytime, guys.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.
Thank you, because he's always a blast, and he's really good at that kind of stuff.
And who is that? Who was that?
That's my older brother.
I was gonna say it sounded like your brother, the one that does movies. Yeah.
So, and I mean, he's done radio before.
Yeah.
So he did SCU radio, won a bunch of awards, you know. And so now he's in a master's yoga, meditation, and screenwriting program from this college in Iowa.
It's cool.
And he's done done over 100 short films, several feature films. Worked on stuff with like Army Hammer, and
That's cool.
has IMDb accreditation, so he can give people IMDb credits and kind of provenance, to try to.
Man, we need him, bro.
Yeah, he's not a social marketer though. He's just somebody that likes to. He changed from like doing regular like hand drawn art and stuff like that to video art. That was something that we always tried to do growing up. And if you ever want to watch our home movies and stuff growing up, there are several of them that we did.
Fun.
Yeah, I was even telling the kids about Brandon Thanksgiving 1995 because we were talking about pork chops because they said pork chops were going to be on the menu, maybe Traeger grilled, and
That's cool.
it made me think of Shake and Bake.
Oh yeah.
And in the final scene,
Shake and bake.
my cousin had come out to live with us for a little while, and her like one of the last lines of the show or this little series that we did of Thanksgiving Mississippi 95. She goes, "It's Shake and Bake, and I helped." And so I was telling the kids about this, and they kind of want to see this home movie.
Yeah, I want to see it.
However, I was 16 at the time.
Yes,
And
even better.
I was completely mopey.
You're making it all sound great. Go on.
I have a butt cut
Go on.
and a dark trench coat.
Oh, so good.
And at one point,
Why have I not seen this before?
and at one point, you could hear my dad's frustrations going, "And look at Cam being so cooperative," because
So
I was
funny.
not having it. I was super melancholy and a malaise. I had a little bit of fun, but my older brother is much more theatrical and has a lot more fun. And many of the things that he says in these impromptu things, because I don't think we ever wrote scripts for these things, but I think this one was generated by my dad to send back home to his parents or family back here in Utah. And anyway, my brother just comes up with stuff that we still quote today in several videos. So, because we really like medieval stuff, so I mean, we put on our own medieval times and Renaissance fairs at the church. The first one was more like a Renaissance fair,
I really like medieval stuff too.
and then the second one, my brother and I, and my younger brother, and I think my friend Pat, we did an actual medieval times for the stake. Young people, I mean, we were young too, but I gotta be the evil green and yellow knight, and you gotta be basically the hero paladin Templar,
I love medieval times.
Yeah.
Every time I go to
medieval times.
Every time I go to California, I bring up, "Hey, we need to go to medieval times."
Yeah, we loved medieval times so much. We always wanted to go, and my dad took us several times, and it was great. And that was a quote from Cable Guy. If you've never seen
Yeah,
Cable
yeah.
Guy, which is, I don't know, that movie is so much better than it got credit for at the time, and that is a fantastic scene.
We should
Remember when
watch
Captain
it.
Kirk and
We should
Spock
watch
had
it
a fight?
together, man.
yeah, it's a good one. So anyway, there's several of them, several great videos, and then
Oh my gosh.
there must be a key or a lock or a door. So yeah, that's my little brother. And if you want to check stuff that he's done out there, go to New World Studios. That's NEUSTUDIOS. Wait, New World. Sorry, forgot the world. NEU space WORLD Studios on YouTube. So yeah, I think if he did more, if you're, and he's put a lot of different film festivals and stuff in there. I mean, it's pretty great. He gets a lot of people to do stuff. A lot of people want to act in these
Right.
things. It's got several people that have kind of helped their career. I mean, so it's really quite interesting. But he's also got a great radio personality because he's done it before and he's written scripts for radio and stuff like that, which we don't because we wing it.
Because we're wonderful. Well, hey, before we forget, you should read your story.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I apologize. I've been meaning to get to it more, so I don't know how much I actually have. So I hope that this reads somewhat interesting and that there's enough of it to get you guys interested for next time. Okay. Oh, well, maybe I wrote more of it. You'll have to bear with me, as this is still probably in rough draft form.
Sweet.
So,
That's the best kind of form.
yeah, not sure if not sure if everybody remembers what happened last time. Okay. But to set the scene, and to probably give you a little bit of background that you can't get from just the story, is that in my mind I picture this somewhere late 19th century. That we could put it in America, you know, just something kind of gothic, you know, on the streets.
That's what I was picturing.
So, you know, because it talked about horses clip-clopping and stuff. And so...
Kind of think of like the scene in A Christmas Carol when death comes.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
that's the like scene I think
Yeah.
of.
That'll be a bit Dickinson, right? If you like Time Machine, both the 1960s version with Rod Taylor or the Guy Pearce one in 2001. You can think about that. One takes place in like London, one takes place in New York, but similar scenery. Yeah, so very much like that. And I never thought about like picking the story back up, but as you guys know, that I am going to do that, and I decided to do it in real time, as if 10 years had passed. So, to set that scene, remember, it was a kind of drizzly night. Okay, it was kind of first person, so the first person character, me, I guess in a sense, you know, was panicking because he found this blood stained cloth in his pocket. Some constable was looking for help for some other reason, and because he had heard a scream, and they were heading back to the door of his struggling law practice. Okay, and that's where it left off. Complete cliffhanger as they were about to open the door. However, put in mind, 10 years since I wrote the story. Prisoner 842369. Prisoner 842369. Step here. Gather your belongings here. You are now released on your own recognizance. You have paid your debt to society. As the gates clinked and then slammed shut behind me, I just stood there in the wet and cold drizzle of rain, beads of moisture dripping from the bill of my derby. One of the few possessions I had left. I paused and sighed audibly as I looked back to see towering rock walls and parapets that had encompassed me and encapsulated me and become my home for the past 10 years. 10 years? I thought to myself, has it really been that long? Now a new century has dawned on the world, and where did that leave me? I was frozen there in front of the gates, not daring to move. My mind was blank, my senses were non-existent, and I was in for no noise, no smells, and then the flood of everything came rushing at me as a deluge. Suddenly I found myself with my hands shaking and trembling as it was placed upon the knob to my old, struggling law office. And then it all came back, like a strike of lightning. Why, the past roughly 10 years I had been locked away. Back to that day, almost 10 years ago, that's where I was. I remember. The door opened slowly. It was dark inside. Only a sliver of light glared through the room. The glimmer disappeared as the constable stood in the doorway. Awful dark in there. I was about to light a match. My heart raced, burst into my throat. I couldn't do nothing but act normal. I replied, I'll just light this candle on my desk. The officer moved slowly behind me as I moved towards my desk. My fingers on the handle felt something wet. Then, instantly, I felt on the back of my neck and my arms, the hair shoot straight up. I knew what it was. It was the same guilty substance on my hands and in my pockets. I must have paused too long, for without warning, the constable had struck and lit a match. In slow motion, I saw the hand with the match move towards the candlestick, now in my trembling hand. You all right, sir? As flame ignited wick. Stammering, I could see the constable's face and mouth slowly agape. Blood dripped from the candlestick and off the desk with a pool of it on the floor. My instincts were rapid, if not consequential and ill-conceived. My trembling hand flicked hot wax into the constable's face. Ah! He screamed. I slipped on the pool of blood as I made a hard turn to run out the door. I was covered in red guilt, almost wallowing in it. The guilt, the substance. I found, as I tried to find traction, a brief hand from the constable tried to grab at me. I slid it on the floor and heaved myself through the doorway, waves of adrenaline pounding my heart. I ran, seemingly floating through the air. If I wasn't in such a frenzied state, the feeling would have been... And that's where I stopped.